Okay, Chief, coming right up. Copy, boy, copy. Better get these records going.
Copy, boy, copy. Copy, copy here.
Copy, boy,
Remember, I'm holding up the last edition. Our forms are already...
Copy here.
You must have that picture. Don't come back without it.
Dr. Leonard Gear to see you.
Show him in, please.
This is my doctor.
Oh, good morning, Paul.
Well, Dr. Gear, this is a pleasure.
Well, how are you, Paul? I was just passing and I thought I might possibly see your father.
Won't you sit down? I'll send for him.
Thank you. Well, how is my remarkable patient, eh?
I'll let you judge for yourself.
Yes, Mr. Franklin.
Please tell my father that the doctor wishes to see him. Dad will be glad to see you, I'm sure. He's often told friends that having the top of his skull blown off in the war was a blessing in disguise.
Yes?
Because, Doctor, he says you must have put something in his head he didn't have before.
I don't understand.
Well, you see, Dad's greatest success has been achieved since the war.
Smoke? No, thank you. But you know, Paul, your father always was a brainy man. It's too bad he went to America so soon after the war. Too bad his brains couldn't have served the country of his birth.
Well, you know, Daddy's a free thinker. He needed room to expand. You couldn't tie him down to any one country.
Yeah, but the son is different, eh? What does your father think of your romance with the daughter of our beloved general, eh?
Why, he's delighted. Came over to attend the wedding. You see, the general and father were boyhood friends.
Of course they were, of course. Oh, time brings many changes. The war, now the new government, and... You know, it is rumored, Paul, that your father came over here to break off your romance with Norma.
Oh, that's not true, Doctor. Why, father and the general...
Paul! Well. My old friend, Paul Franklin.
My old friend, Dr. Gear. As I live and breathe.
I'm amazed that you still do live and breathe.
Yes, you should be, Doctor. Oh, it's seldom that a patient survives the surgery.
And to think, you with a silver plate for a skull for the past 16 years.
You know, it served me very well. Well, thanks to you.
Let me see. Not bad. Not at all bad for a quick job done behind the lines.
No, your operation was all right. Came much closer to dying afterwards in an enemy prison camp.
Here. Don't you two start living the war all over again.
It's a sign we're getting old, Paul.
Old? You, not we, Doctor.
Just the same, Paul. Take my advice and don't permit yourself to get too excited.
Oh, I see. You're afraid I might get a short circuit? Oh, outside of occasional dizzy spells, Doctor. Well, I wouldn't know that my head was off the gold standard.
Well, it's your head. Well, you're just as irresponsible as ever.
Never obey a doctor when you're well. That's one of my mottos. Say, tell me, Dr. Gear, what kind of an experiment is this country attempting in government?
Well, I might ask you the same question about America.
You see, Dad, you two can't keep from discussing major operations.
Oh, which reminds me that I'm due at the hospital to perform one in exactly 15 minutes. But I'll see you tonight at the dinner in your...
Oh, these dinners. Doctor, it isn't my head that you should be worrying about. It's my stomach.
Perhaps.
Why, Doctor, you're dropping again.
Thank you. I will, Paul. I'll see you tonight.
Goodbye, old friend.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Fine fellow, Doctor, here, and a great surgeon.
An awful braggart.
What?
You know, I don't see anything so remarkable about this operation he performed on my head.
Why, Dad.
Listen, son. Had he removed my brains and replaced them with sawdust, and then I had continued to function like a normal man, then he'd had something to crow about.
May I see you, Minifor?
What is it, Tom?
Why, some more cables the government has canceled.
What's this?
Howdy, Mr. Franklin.
Canceling our news flashes?
Oh, yes. Censorship is getting tighter every day.
What'd they kill today?
Why, the story of the burning of the censored books. Also your article on the new government and its suppression of the freedom of the press.
How long has this been going on?
Started several days ago. They put a censor on at the cabling offices. And no news can leave the country, Dad, unless it meets with government approval.
Well, looks like it's a good thing that I came over here. We're going to get the real news out of this country, my son, if we have to smuggle it.
Maybe things will be different after Paul marries the daughter of the chief of the Censorship Bureau.
Maybe then he'll have to swear to absolute secrecy.
Oh, I see. Love, honor, and suppress, huh?
Nothing like that. Leave the copy here, Tom. I'll see what I can do about it.
Okay.
I don't know, son. I'm thinking maybe method in this romance.
Oh, nonsense, Dad. Norma and I love each other.
Oh, I've no doubt about that, Paul. And I think she's a wonderful girl. But knowing Felix Faulkner since a boy, I can see now that he is chief of the Censorship Bureau, how he would welcome a family tie with a junior member of the world's most powerful news syndicate.
Are you inferring that I would permit sentiment to interfere with our business?
Has happened, son.
Listen, Dad, Norma and her father are due here any minute. The general wants to speak to you about your reception.
Oh, splendid. It'll give me an opportunity to ask him just how far he intends to go with this suppressing of free speech.
Listen, Dad, that's just what I don't want you to speak to him about.
General Bachman and his daughter are here.
Oh, show them in, please. Now, careful what you say, Dad.
Paul, if this new government intends to take away the freedom of speech and the freedom of the press...
Good morning. May we interrupt this conference?
At any time. Come right in, dear.
Oh, good morning, Felix. You know, I thought state officials never got up until noon. No. Well, you look pretty enough to kiss. Now, do you suppose your prospective father-in-law could...
Of course, why not?
There you are, son. Nothing like starting the day out right. Why, it makes me feel 20 years younger. She's a wonder, Felix. Must get all the charm from my mother, though. You know, he was a rascal as a boy, no?
Yes, so Mother told me.
Yeah, and she knows.
I haven't much time this morning, Paul. It will please me.
But of course. You know, I thought this was just a social visit. Paul, if you and Norma will excuse us.
That's not necessary. I merely...
Oh, it may not be necessary, but perhaps advisable.
Come, Norma.
At your service, sir.
Well, sit down.
No, I thank you.
Felix, you'll pardon me if I find it rather difficult to become accustomed to your formality.
An office makes demands on one, Paul.
Does it demand that one should take himself too seriously? Oh, come now. Here we are. You one of the foremost men of your country, and I one of the foremost news publicists. Yes, perhaps in the world. What does it all mean? I've seen reputations, positions made, lost overnight. So have you. Living in a strange, changeable world, Felix. That's why we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously.
I, unfortunately, have no time for philosophizing, Paul. The dinner in your honor tonight...
Oh, yes, that's dinner. Haven't time for that either?
Oh, yes, of course. You will be afforded, my dear friend, a most excellent opportunity of rendering a distinguished service to the country of your birth. In what you may say tonight.
Oh, yes, I understand. I'm to be bribed with a dinner and flattered into becoming one of your chief propagandists, eh?
I'm sorry, Paul, that I cannot appreciate your sense of humor.
Oh, well, I meant no offense, Felix. See, we were boys together.
This is what I call a real conference.
Norma, why don't you advance the date of our wedding?
I'm willing, Paul, dear. But you know, Father, he insists that our marriage be a state affair. I simply have to wait his pleasure.
Don't tell me we're going to have to suffer all that pomp and ceremony.
I'm afraid it's the penalty I pay for being the daughter of a general. Penalty you paid for making me love you.
Why can't we steal away to some other country and be married?
What? And start another world war? Don't be foolish.
Oh, but Norma, I've waited so long.
Nothing can stop. If you think you can, you're on the wrong track. You and I have
I'm afraid we've left them alone too long already.
Your son should never have permitted these
My
bullets.
son is merely living up to the principles of the business I founded, giving to the public the truth at all times.
These articles plainly criticize our policies. They should not only have been cancelled by our censor, but confiscated and destroyed.
Felix, why, how dare you?
Let this be a lesson to your son. If he thinks that his engagement to Norma entitles him to take liberties...
What?
Wait a minute, Paul, please.
The trouble with you is you're too internationally minded.
No, John. You think that I am too
Wait
much
a
of a...
minute now. I'm going to tell you just what you are. You're just two sweet, lovable old fools. And I hereby declare this international battle a draw.
Draw? Oh, well, guess that's fair enough, Felix.
I guess so, Paul. And to think of my giving a dinner tonight in your honor.
Yeah. No, by the way, Felix, since you are suppressing a free press and the right of free speech, I hope you don't suppress free eating.
Paul, you're impossible. Come, Norma.
Goodbye, Mr. Franklin.
Goodbye, Norma.
Goodbye, darling. See you later.
Dad, General Buckner is ruthless. Oh, you think you know him, but you don't. He'd stop at nothing, even to the breaking off of my engagement with Norma.
Oh, he'll do nothing of the kind, son. Now, don't you worry. You just leave these things to me. I
Yeah,
know
but
how to
Dad-
take care of him. Now, forget it. Stop worrying, son. And excuse me now. I must get to work on my speech for that dinner.
All right.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen of the radio audience, this is station SB1, taking you to the reception given by General Buckner, Chief of the House of Your Honor, and friends and fellow customers of Paul Franklin, founder of the world's station Franklin. Ah, there's Paul Franklin Jr., son of our distinguished guest of honor. Customer General Buckner, well, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. West here is having us this time. I'm here, you know, counselor, and everyone seems to be having a moment. I wish you were here to join with us. Announcing before me, Colonel Joseph Salter and his charming wife, Lady Winifred Salter. And tonight, we welcome back to his native land a man whose name has become an editorial byword in every language and hamlet of the civilized world. We pay a former citizen the rich homage that is his due, and we ask him to give us his impressions of our beloved country under the new government. Permit me to have the honor of presenting the eminent Paul Franklin Sr.
Father gave him a good send-off.
Splendid.
Friends of my native country. My dear friend Felix Buckner, you know it isn't easy for me to address you as chief of the Censorship Bureau. Perhaps it's because I think of you as a boy, when there was no one to censor us for the many pranks that we played. Those were long, long years ago, Felix. But I'm wondering if we are not, after all, still boys under the skin. I'm wondering if both of us wouldn't like to go back to those carefree, fun-loving days, to our country, at a time when its people were joyous and free, with a happy song on their lips and in their hearts, laughter in their eyes. Days before we men grew up to an exaggerated sense of our own importance. This may occur to you as a digression, my friends. Yet I cannot feel that it is so, For I know that I cannot blot out the past and the heritage it has left for me without jeopardizing all that I hold most dear in my present. Knowing all this, I feel that I must say to you that I have been profoundly shocked on returning to the country of my birth to find that an inhuman censorship bureau exists. This new administration has turned its back on the efforts, the constructive efforts of centuries. It has incited racial hatred, brought about religious intolerance, and is ruthlessly destroying the liberties of the people.
Careful, Paul, careful.
Why, do you realize that the suppressing of the freedom of speech and of the free press means the surrender of your own personal freedom? The decline, the downfall of this country?
I don't understand, Dad.
And if this dangerous tendency spreads to other nations, will plunge the world into another dark age.
How dare he? Mad! This is an insult.
Wipe out all the gains that mankind has made in its long climb up to the present stage of civilization.
The radio.
Cut off the radio. You must stop it, I tell you. You must stop this insanity now, before this beloved country is drenched with blood.
You've said enough. We will hear them all.
Oh, there is much more that I have to say. You must hear me. I feel it here, in my heart.
Get father out of here.
Oh, by what right? The government was not permitted. It's here, in my heart. I must tell them.
Of this beloved country.
If they will only listen to order.
It's useless to go on. Come with me for my sake.
But Paul, if you... Stay to your native land. If you could only...
Cap! That's why I want you to 17 Park Place.
Okay, Cap.
Oh, Paul, you won't let any harm come to Mr. Franklin.
It may get out of my hands. Word of this will spread like wildfire. But some action will have to be taken. We cannot let this offense pass unrecognized. Come with me, gentlemen.
Paul Franklin must make a public apology.
Right.
If he were not the father of the man who is to marry...
Please do not refer to that again, Sultan. Come, Mama.
An apology is the only thing that will save him. I'm wondering whether he should be saved.
Well, if he is not, it may lead to international complications.
But if he lives, may he not be a greater menace?
Careful, Salter. Such words are dangerous. Come on.
You will take my daughter to our home.
Dad, your speech tonight may be the cause of our having to leave this country.
Not me, son. I've never run away from anything in my life, and I'm not starting now.
But you haven't lived here recently. You can't tell what they might do.
I've never been afraid when I know that I'm right.
But, Dad, your life may be at stake.
Oh, there, son. But you worry about that. Why, they wouldn't dare.
Oh, they might. I've seen men's lives crushed out right before my eyes. What you said to General Buckner tonight has to be squared. I'm going to Norma and try to get her to intercede with her father.
Oh, no. That'll just be a waste of time, son. My old friend, General Buckner, doesn't feel the injustice of what he has done in his heart and in his soul. Or even Norma.
But it's worth trying, Dad. She's the only one that has any influence with him.
No. To go to her would be dangerous. If she mistook your motive, why, you may lose her. Love and political intrigue won't mix.
Just the same, I'm going. I won't be long. Dad. Whatever happens, I just want you to know that I'm with you all the way. When I heard what you said tonight for the first time, I realized what it all meant. You know, I was proud of you, Father.
Thank you, my son. Thank you.
So long, Dad.
Coming here.
Norma, don't you understand that Dad's life may be in danger?
Yes, but so may yours.
Where is your father?
He's gone to your house. He's terribly angry. I don't think he'll listen.
Oh, I'm sure he will if you'll only appeal to him.
But what can I say?
Just tell him that Father didn't mean to insult any of those people tonight.
Hey, here's a hot one.
What's that, Bill?
The psychology of our human existence.
Hey, here's another one. The evolution of the species.
Hey, look at these boys ought to be burned, huh? Look at this one, would you?
Can you imagine a bird having books like these?
Yeah, that's a waste of time reading that stuff.
Here's another one of them. What's this? What are you men doing here?
Government orders.
Orders for what?
Destroying all books on the condemned list.
Oh, but you can't. Here. Well, you can't do this. You can't do this, I tell you.
Oh, who says we can't? These books have been censored.
But you men don't realize what you are doing. Why, this is a rare collection. Some of these books cannot be replaced.
I say they can't. Not when we get through with them.
But you must stop it. You must stop it, I tell you. Here, you! Stop it, I tell you. You must stop it. Felix, call off these men. See, look what they have done. But they're going to burn my son's library.
We have come, Paul Franklin, to demand a public apology for your insult to our government.
You wish a retraction of what I said at the dinner?
Precisely. We do not allow foreigners to ridicule us.
Foreigners? I who shed my blood for my native country, and because I prospered afterward in America, you call me foreigner?
We did not come here to play with words. Do we receive your apology?
You do not.
Then you will leave this country at once. Your offices here are being dismantled, and your son will leave with you.
Felix! You can send me out of the country. You can destroy my business. But my son, your daughter, Norma, Paul, their happiness. We dreamed they would be married. little kiddies. Why, our grandchildren, Felix.
You've said enough. Sergeant, when you have finished, carry these books into the street and burn them.
You would destroy these books? Destroy the records of humanity's struggle throughout the ages? Well, you can't change one iota of what has happened. Destroying books does not destroy the truth, any more than taking the life of any human destroys life.
You will obey your orders.
Felix, how can you do this thing? If you could only remember what the human race has undergone, you would know that hatred only breeds more hatred. Violence only breeds more violence.
Bring out all the... Oh! All right, come on, stand aside. All right,
we have no time.
Felix, wait. Wait. You are going to see. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you out of the very records of the books you would destroy. I'm going to take you back to the time when this earth was born. Into these surroundings came a new creature of superior intellect, our earliest ancestor, primitive man. It took thousands of years for man to develop. But as he gained mastery over the animal world, his thoughts began to refine his physical body. Proud of his conquests over nature, man began with the aid of stones and charcoal to draw pictures on the walls of his cave. This marked the beginning of man's real progress. But the greatest invention that did more than all else to lay the foundation of civilization was the development of writing, which at first took the form of signs and symbols. And then the alphabet, the printed word, Books like these and these have done more than anything else in the world to free humanity from ignorance and superstition.
Haven't we had enough of this drivel? What do we care about this primitive man stuff? Let the dead past bury us dead.
And I say to you, what you call the dead past is not dead. It is alive in us. And we should study our past in order to determine our present actions. Think, gentlemen. Let us go back 3,000 years before Christ. In the land of Egypt. "1,200 years later, Moses, founder of Judaism and the first outstanding spiritual leader, gave the world the 10 Commandments. Years before the birth of Christ, there was born a spiritual leader in far-off India known as Buddha. Buddha taught that the three great sins in life are self-indulgence, ill will, and ignorance. Millions of his followers now baptize themselves in the river Ganges, along which Buddha preached. At this time, Confucius, wise man of the East, gave not only to China, but to all mankind his spiritual teachings that have spread to many lands and have endured even to the present day in the hearts of millions. Mighty and tyrannical warriors followed in the wake of these spiritual teachers: Alexander, Hannibal, and then Julius Caesar, whose conquests changed the map of the then known world. Through the ages, gentlemen, during the tyrannical rule of these warlords, humanity suffered untold misery and death, paying a tremendous price that civilization might be advanced.
Yes, I wonder what it's all about.
Oh, Paul, please.
You wait here. I'm going to see what's happening.
Paul, don't.
Don't worry about me. You wait here.
Be careful.
What's going on here? Stop it, I say.
Government order.
Why, this is my office. You have no right to destroy my record.
Oh, yes, we have.
And then, gentlemen, followed the greatest event in the history of mankind, known only to the wise men who followed a star of Bethlehem. Said, all things, therefore, whatsoever ye would that men should do unto you, even so do ye also unto them.
What do we care who lived before or what they did? We'll make our own history.
You beat, you murdered. You killed him. Oh, darling.
And 500 years after Christ was crucified, there was born into the world Muhammad, the great prophet of the Arabs. Muhammad again reminded man of his sins, extended his faith to many lands. Countless millions of men, women, and children has been sacrificed in the onward march of civilization. Men of great courage throughout the ages have defied death to preserve the principles of freedom.
Oh, somebody help me.
He's a traitor. We know all about him and his father. We know what they think of our government. Who's the girl with him? Are we going to let her interfere? No.
Stand back, please. Stand back, please.
I must get to my father.
I'm going to get you to a doctor
What's
first.
wrong, Art?
You're going with me to a doctor.
I'm sorry, miss.
You should be. I'll see that you're severely reprimanded for this fruitless policy.
Three great inventions now came as a great aid to mankind. Gunpowder, the sailor's compass, and the printing press. Gunpowder revolutionized war. It brought an end to the days of knights in armor. One man with a musket proved more deadly than 100 men in metal suits. The compass enabled men to cross the seas and explore other lands, extending trade throughout the world. And the printing press set free a vast store of knowledge. Such a store of knowledge, gentlemen, as you are now trying to destroy.
Why, half of the books printed are wrong. But what you were saying about gunpowder is true. It's useful.
But gunpowder should be used to preserve, not to destroy mankind. Through aid of the printing press, the constructive thoughts of men were carried to the four corners of the earth, whetting man's appetite for more knowledge. Why, it was this thirst for knowledge that inspired the voyage of Christopher Columbus in 1492, which resulted in the discovery of America, the New World. Years later, the Pilgrims, seeking religious freedom, landed on Plymouth Rock, and the colonization of America began. The colonists prospered for more than 100 years. Then they rebelled against the King of England, and under the leadership of George Washington, won their political freedom. During this revolution, the Declaration of Independence was written, a document which stands today as an inspiration to liberty-loving people throughout the world. A document which proclaimed that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is for such rights, gentlemen, that humanity has shed its blood. Soon after independence was achieved in America, revolution broke out in France. The king and queen and thousands of the royalty and nobility were beheaded by the inflamed populace. And out of the French Revolution sprang Napoleon Bonaparte, who led his nation through many bloody wars, only to end his days in exile. And less than 100 years later, gentlemen, the United States of America, which had extended its boundaries from the Atlantic to the Pacific, was torn by a great civil war. Father against son, brother against brother, the South against the North, in a bloody conflict to decide issues upon which the very destiny of the new world depended. Abraham Lincoln, beloved and martyred president, whose guidance during these days of strife preserved the nation and helped heal the wounds of his fellow countrymen. Beginning with the 19th century, inventions came thick and fast.
modern improvements leap from the minds of men and revolutionized industry. Humanity became dizzy trying to adjust itself to the conditions which the use of machinery had brought about. After all these modern developments, one would presume that the world had at last reached the first stages of a real civilization. But with all our supposed culture and enlightenment, think, gentlemen, think what happened. nations turned all of man's marvelous inventions into engines of destruction. The loss of human life was unbelievable. Millions were killed and more than 21 million wounded, gassed, and shell-shocked. It seems incredible that man could be guilty of such hatred of his fellow man, such savage lust for slaughter. Millions gave their lives believing they were fighting a war to end war. And when the armistice was signed, a war-weary world went crazy with a joy we shall probably never see again. Great rejoicing after the armistice, there came the fiendish pursuit of money, money, money. The mad age of competition and overproduction, a financial world ablaze, an orgy of speculation, piling paper profit upon paper profit until an overstrained economic system could carry the burden no longer, collapsing beneath a mountain of selfishness and greed. And then failures. Panic-stricken depositors clamoring to protect their life savings. Stores and factories closed. Industrial stagnation. Millions out of work. Bread lines, soup kitchens, strikes, riots, angry mobs rebelling against conditions. Destitute, homeless, hopeless men, women, and children, bewildered in their pitiful distress. Everywhere, unrest. Everywhere, humans trying to find peace and happiness, trying to find it by placing the blame of the ills of the world upon anyone else but themselves. We are all equally to blame. We have misused the great gift of life, and life in its turn is misusing us. We are getting back just what we have given out. No more, no less. Now, gentlemen, I ask you, 16 years after the end of the so-called war to end wars, does it look as though the people of the earth have any greater faith or love in one another than they had in the past centuries? Look about you. Not a very pleasant or hopeful picture, is it? Hardly designed to promote peace on earth, goodwill to man. Today, the peoples of many nations are trembling on the brink of another great war. A war more terrible, more horrible, more devastating than the last conflict. A war that threatens not alone soldiers on battlefields, but a war aimed at the ruthless destruction of cities and the merciless slaughter of innocent humanity. What is all this leading to? Do countries of the world prepare in this manner if they really trust one another? Can't humans realize that another great war means suicide? The absolute destruction of everything that anyone holds dear and worthwhile. Can't you men see what such actions as yours are breeding? Can't you see what intolerance has done throughout the ages? Now then, is man going to awaken in time? Or is it going to take some great catastrophe to awaken him? If man doesn't destroy himself, will Mother Earth, nauseated by man's ways, turn upon him the full wrath of her elements? Fire, storm, tidal wave, earthquake, just to remind man that he isn't as mighty or as haughty as he thinks. This isn't a dream, gentlemen. This is a reality. You are sowing the seeds for a terrible harvest. It is not the destroying of a few books. It is the destroying of something in here. Here. Gentlemen, perhaps even at the 11th hour, it is not too late. Perhaps mankind may yet save itself from the cataclysm of the ages. Perhaps one day, humans will learn to truly love and trust one another.
Now, this has gone far enough. Haven't you had your fill of this, General? An hour of senseless prattling.
General, what he has said has been very, very instructive. By his philosophy, if
nothing he can say can change our ideas of government.
You are right, Salter. Paul Franklin, you and your son will leave this country tomorrow, or the government will deport you.
Felix!
Sergeant, carry out your orders.
But Felix! Felix!
Step aside.
Oh.
Hear me. Hear me. You, the people of this beloved country I speak. Do you know what you are doing? It isn't these books. It is the principle of human freedom you are destroying.
What's he blabbing about?
A lot of Sunday school stuff.
Don't you people realize that you are really destroying yourselves? Are you blind to the danger of suppressing individual liberties? Are you helping heap fuel upon a fire that can only lead to your own destruction?
Well, that's old man Franklin.
Why, he's not even a citizen. He doesn't even belong in this country.
I'll shut the old windbag up.
Eat it, Brad.
Oh.
Seems to be badly injured, General.
This is horrible.
Carry him into his home.
Soldier, take him inside.
You go with him. Do everything possible. Dollar, see that the ruffian who did this is caught and severely punished.
Careful. God. Find the man who did this. Arrest him.
How is he, Doctor?
I'm afraid, General. His old war injury.
You mean?
His plate. I'm afraid that the blow has...
Don't you worry about my plate, old friend. It's all right. You did a fine job.
I wonder what all this car's about.
I hope nothing's happened to Father.
What's up?
Old man Franklin's son. Dad,
Father!
Norma.
They've destroyed Paul's office. He tried to stop them, but couldn't. They've beaten him terribly. Father, you must do something to protect Mr. Franklin and Paul. Can't you see that you must? Oh, Mr. Franklin.
No, Norma. He can't see. He's blind. Blind to the inevitable. But I can see. I can see that mankind will never be truly civilized until all races become one in spirit, understanding, brotherly love. It's all so easy. Yet men are making it so hard, so difficult.
it's true, Paul. You are right.
Oh, if men could only see. If they could only. If Paul, my boy, where are you?
Here, Father.
Here. You know. You must tell them. My son, Paul. My boy. You will tell him. I shall not fail you.